Hi, today we're at Firewall reservoirs in Oxfordshire. Now, I've been here before, but it's not somewhere I come on a regular basis. It's a very well-known birdwatching place. Various waders turn up here, and divers and grebes, unusual ones, from time to time. But I always think of it as a bit limited photographically because both of these reservoirs are concrete based. They've got concrete edges to them, so that restricts what you can do photographically. And also you tend to be looking down at the birds quite a bit. However, part of the concrete can look quite natural. The higher part of this slope, where it's very dark concrete and covered in dirt and lichens and moss and all sorts, that looks no different to a rocky shoreline by the sea.
It was a very windy day, and that causes problems. First of all, birds tend to crouch down in the wind, but also you get a lot of vibration when you're using a long telephoto lens. You can see it in the viewfinder. The lens is vibrating. Even though I'm on my heavy tripod with a miller head, it was still an issue. Little stints tend to be very tame birds. You can usually get close to them quite easily. So here's the vibration. You can hear the sound of the wind as well. I didn't bother trying to record the natural sounds. You can't in windy conditions like this. To help reduce the surface area of the lens, I tried taking the lens hood off, so there'll be less vibration, hopefully.
That doesn't seem to be making any difference whatsoever, but you've got to try it. And what I've done in the past is I've stood next to the lens, so I leave the camera running when the bird is stationary, and then I stand there and I try and block the wind from hitting the lens. Can't do that today because I'm looking into the wind, so I would have to stand at the front of the lens. So that I can't do. Now, you can reduce the vibration in post-production, especially in the Topaz software. That does a very good job of it, but ideally you want to get it right in the first place.
We'll look at this clip again. This is without any vibration reduction. Now, the software I normally use for my editing is Power Director, so the next clip is with the vibration reduction in Power Director. There it is. It's cropped the picture. It's made the bird bigger in the frame. It's done a reasonable job of removing the vibration. But the next clip is where I've done it in Topaz, and that's just coming up now, and you can see it doesn't crop the picture. It's also done a very good job of getting rid of the vibration. Still not perfect, but it makes a big difference. The problem is it takes 30 minutes just to do this short clip.
And the other problem I've got is it's too sunny. The weather forecast said it's going to cloud over later, and there is a lot of cloud bubbling up, and I'm just waiting for that to cover the sun up. It has done from time to time, and that's when I've been taking footage, because I'm looking into the sun slightly. If the bird was on this side of the causeway, it would be better, but it's not. You're looking into the sun.
The shoreline at the water's edge is also very messy, lots of rubbish. A lot of it is feathers, but there's also bits of plastic and wood. It is a bit of a mess, and you've got to avoid those, especially when you're doing the stills pictures. Little stints are normally very active birds, but this one wasn't. He was resting a lot of the time. Here it's not very attractive, all those feathers on the ground. I want him elsewhere. Now he's come higher up, he's come onto that dark concrete. It looks far more natural. Here I felt it was worthwhile going over the wall and jumping down onto the slope. Now I'm level with the bird, and I'm always much happier being level with them. I did try this on the shoreline as well, but it was just so messy, so much rubbish down there.
Well, I got my wish on it clouding over a bit. It's about 60% cloud now, so sun comes out occasionally. You don't have to wait long before it gets covered up again. So I spent about 2 hours getting little bits of video using the Lumix G9 Mark II, which I tend to use mostly for video. And now I've swapped over. I've put the OM1 Mark II on, and it's the 150 to 400mm OM lens, just to take some stills pictures. And again, I felt I was lucky that the bird went right down by the water's edge, but where there was a lot of green moss along the edge, so you can't really see it's concrete. Still looking down on it a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I was quite happy with those as still pictures.
So this doesn't work, messy feathers on the floor, and not a nice pose from the bird either. This is better, I've avoided the rubbish, and you can't tell there's concrete. But this was still my favourite. Now, whereas little stints are very tame and approachable birds, this is the opposite. This is a green sandpiper. You cannot walk up to green sandpipers. You wouldn't get within, well, 100 metres at times, and they're flying away from you. They're very twitchy birds, and one of the few species that really don't like hides. If I was to put a normal hide up here, this bird would not accept it. It would not come back to this bit of water.
Now, although it's unlikely that a green sandpiper will accept a standard hide, which is about this height, you stand far more chance if you use a low profile hide like this Buteo Falco hide. Birds are less intimidated by small objects than they are big objects, especially height wise. So you stand far more chance if you get down low and you're inside this hide. Also, notice the hide is against the reed bed. If I put it out completely in the open, then again the bird is more likely to be wary of it. But if you can put your hide up against a bush or the reed bed here, you stand far more chance.
We're no longer at Firewall. This is on my local patch where there are two largish lakes. I call them wader scrapes because they're very shallow, and over the years I've done all sorts of waders here. When the bird first flew in, very important, you don't touch the lens. You'll watch the bird, you can see it looking around, checking out for danger. You wait until it starts to feed before you touch the lens and get it in the viewfinder. If you see a wader species yawning like this, it's about to eject a pellet. There it goes. There were other green sandpipers around, so they were calling at each other. While photographing the green sandpiper, a little ring plover turned up, and it had got a young chick with it too. Now in the UK, this is a protected species, and you need a license to be disturbing it when you're photographing it at a nest or around a nest or with dependent youngsters. Now, I have had license for little ring plover on this bit of land before, but I haven't got one this year. And I knew they were nesting there, but they were in the next field and it's about 400 metres away. I didn't know they'd moved through to this field. Now, the law doesn't actually say you can't photograph a Schedule 1 species. It says you cannot willfully and intentionally disturb them to do so. Well, clearly I'm not disturbing them. In fact, they were coming closer and closer to the hide. And I'm certainly not doing it willfully. I didn't know they were there. So, am I disturbing this bird? Definitely not. The only way I will disturb it is if I get out of the hide. And I'm not doing this intentionally. They've just come and walked in front of me. So I carried on filming them. When I got home, I sent an email to the licensing department at Natural England, asking them if they agreed with me that I wasn't breaking the law and pointing out I wanted to release this as a YouTube film. It took a few weeks to get a response, but it was rather non-committal. They didn't want to make a statement, didn't feel it was their department's decision. Thanks for watching.